for coming to the Prince George's County Cable Television Commission meeting. We'll start with introductions.
Doris McMillan.
I'm Malcolm Augustine.
Mike Thompson.
Sam Senafalado.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming this evening. Prior to the meeting, minutes were submitted to us for review. Did everyone have a chance to take a look?
Mm-hmm.
If there are no updates or corrections, we can get a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, accept the minutes as submitted. We can move on to action items. Do we have any action items tonight?
There were none.
Okay, then we can move into the monthly reports.
Sure. So for the month of May 2015, Verizon had 7 open calls, 5 closed calls, 1 outstanding, and 1 suspended. Comcast had 11 open calls, 8 closed calls, 1 outstanding, and 2 suspended. And I will just briefly go over the outstanding calls, starting with the one for Comcast, and it's for customer Reggie Smith. The initial complaint was made in 2014, and as of 6/1/2015, Comcast has completed the first phase of the project and is now looking to relocate post wiring in the closet of each unit. The initial issue came in I believe that the initial issue was several trouble tickets, and Comcast, in an effort to resolve several different complaints, did so, but the last outstanding complaint is for, what is the last outstanding complaint, do you know, for Reggie Smith?
The last outstanding complaint with the ticket.
No, right, but what is it for? It's for, I can't tell here, I do apologize.
Okay, they have completed the first phase, and the next one is just to complete, the second phase will be to finish up with the closets in each unit.
Right, so this is an apartment building?
Yes,
that
an
had-
apartment building,
Okay,
right.
several Comcast issues with.
Involving apartment closets in the units.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'll just go back a bit because I just want to provide more clarification because this has been open for a while
Right.
of what the initial complaint was for. Oh, I'm sorry, here it is. Comcast had post wires that needed to be completed for 200 units, and I believe that this was due in order to assist the property manager. But I'll come back to that one. I apologize. The next outstanding call was for Verizon, and it's for Ms. Shirley Hardy. Ms. Hardy stated that there's a cable box along John Rogers Boulevard in the community of Saxony Square, Kingsley Hall, and the Verizon made an attempt to actually fix that cable box by placing plywood over the hole, but never came back to replace the cable lid or fill the hole. And to date, Verizon stated that they will update it once they have contacted the local manager that actually works in that particular district. And as of 5/28/2015, Verizon stated that the work is in progress and will be providing the commission staff with updates as they become available. The staff is still on a daily basis reaching out to both Comcast and Verizon on both of these issues to receive the most up-to-date status. Just going back a bit on the first issue, again, I apologize because this complaint has been open for quite some time. Okay, so in this particular apartment building, there was several loose wires around the building, and they continued to contact Comcast throughout the month of August, and there was a great scope of work that needed to be completed, and at that time Comcast started what looks like a project plan to attach several phases of the project and actually complete all of the work that needed to be done in an effort to complete all of the loose wires that were open. But the initial calls, there were several, and it looks like there were 5 different open tickets for this customer, who is Reggie Simmons, and 4 of the tickets that have been closed successfully, and so this is the last one that Comcast is on. That completes the monthly report.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about the monthly reports? All right, okay. We received prior to the meeting the community television report. Do you have anything to add to the numbers that are there?
Yeah, they remain as submitted.
Okay, and are we at this point now closed as far as being able to be a part of the summer program? Is that,
Yes.
that's all?
Yes, the summer camp starts Monday.
It starts
Yes, and
Monday.
we have 16 students that will be participating in the summer camp.
Are they're all high school students?
They're middle school and high school students. I think we have one 18-year-old, 17-year-old.
At the end of the program, what's going to happen?
At the end of the program, they put together a 30-minute production, and we air that production. We have a private showing, with our family, and we begin to air it on our channel.
Oh,
Okay, great.
And they do the concept from beginning to end. They decide what the title of their program is going to be. They shoot it, they edit it, they produce it, they direct it,
Okay.
and the whole gamut.
Okay, great experience.
Fantastic. Does anyone have any questions for community television? No? Okay, fantastic. Then we can move then to public comment. Do we have anyone who wants to speak before the commission this evening?
I have Mr. Kenneth Haley
Yes.
here.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening,
I,
sir.
wanted to hand out a copy of my complaint to the Cable TV Commission along with my comments
Yes.
to this hearing.
Sure.
And I also wanted to state that I've had a complaint in with Verizon for service since last November. And I have been unable to prevail upon Verizon to resolve this complaint. And it all stemmed from an issue which in the trade industry is called negative option advertising, which as a matter of fact, the state attorney general has just won a lawsuit for the state of Maryland regarding negative option advertising. And what it was is I ordered a product a couple of years ago called NBA League Pass, and I was very satisfied with the programming. At the end of the conclusion of the year, we were done. Well, in the second year, what they did is they automatically put it on my bill. And I didn't see it because the very first month that it was on the bill, there was no change in my bill. It was a zero amount. So I just looked at page 1, saw my bill was the same, and didn't think anything more about it. In November, my bill went way up, and I didn't know why because I hadn't done anything. So when I contacted Verizon, their response with the agent that I spoke with was, well, we put that on your bill back in October, and you had 10 days to reply, and you didn't reply in 10 days, therefore you're legally obligated to pay it. And I'm like, since when? Well, it's perfectly legitimate in the state of Maryland. I'm kind of like, I've never heard of such a thing. Well, I had to escalate it to a supervisor and spent a couple hours on the phone until we finally agreed that I wasn't going to get the service and they would refund my money. Well, what they did was they put half of the amount due, which was I think $199 plus tax. So the first payment was $99 plus an additional sum of money that came out to $108.07. And what they did is in the month of December, they gave me a credit back for $108.07 and then turned around and billed me for payment number 2 for $108.07. I've been going around and around since December and January to get this resolved, and just reached an impasse with Verizon. They'd say they were going to take care of it and then did nothing about it at all. So that led me to file a complaint with the commission. As soon as I filed the complaint with the commission, the matter was escalated to Verizon's corporate level. I spoke to a Mrs. Good, and she said that she'd have somebody look into it. Well, the person she had looked into it was rather arrogant and rude. be quite frank with you, and told me that I was entitled to nothing, that the bill looked perfectly fine to him. And I told him, I said, I'll go back to the commission on this. I said, this is totally wrong. And I said, I just want my money back. Well, it took about a week longer until he finally said, well, I know we owe you $5. We'll look into the rest. I don't know what the $5 and change was for. That's what I got an email about. But since then, he says, well, we'll give you another 100 back. Well, to me, that doesn't come out to the 108.07 that I'm owed. Plus, I think I'm owed something here. In addition, I mean, it's been 7 months. I've had an issue trying to resolve this. I've been very thoughtful, trying to work with Verizon, bend over backwards, and no response. In the meantime, while I'm trying to negotiate this through the Cable TV Commission and Verizon's corporate headquarters, I get an ad from Comcast for $500 to switch service. And Verizon turns around and tells me, well, we'll give you 3 or 4 months of some free upgrade that I have that I really don't want. And I said, that's not acceptable. And he says, well, that's all Verizon's prepared to do. So that's kind of led me to the commission that I just don't think that this is a fair way to treat people. And I don't like this kind of negative option advertising, as they call it, where they put things on your bill and then make it your responsibility to take it off. And I'm hoping that you can use your influence to make this right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Healy, for coming out and sharing this with us. And sorry that you had this type of experience. If I understand, let me just try to say back what I think. Right now, you got the 105.58 of the 108.07.
Right.
So there's another 3. I mean, just hard dollars wise,
Yes,
right?
right.
Another 3 that they obviously need to pay back to you. Representative from Verizon Fios is seated right next to you, and she would absolutely, I'm sure she'll be able to talk to you about that. As far as the practice, we are absolutely here to protect as best we can the people who are using these services, but they run their business the way they do. So I am not sure about this, whether or not that is a practice of Verizon or not. Do you know if that is if there is an automatic renewal practice for this kind of thing for Verizon?
And I would have to look at the product and see what, if he signed a contract, what that entailed, so I just don't know right now. I just
Mr.
look
Dooley?
into the account.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay, I have a question. How much of your refund have you received to date?
I don't have the precise figure, but it's roughly $105.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure I understood that. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So I guess that the thought that the part of what needs to be looked at, of course, within this is the League Pass agreement that you sign and what's inside of that, and whether or not, like you're saying, that was part of that fine print, which of course we know we all have to be careful with, that it had in there like an automatic renewal type of thing. I think that's part of what you're talking about with the negative, because your intent was simply to get that year of the League Pass, and so I think that that's worthwhile to for us to take a look, and we can absolutely follow up just to make sure. And Ms. Handy is able to share with us the two things. One, of course, is the balance of what you have, but then also just a better understanding of that practice as it relates to, as you shared, the negative.
I have an extra copy.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You should definitely share it with her. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments around this issue? Okay. I appreciate you coming, sir, and I'm sorry for the experience that you've had thus far. I mean, obviously, we appreciate getting that kind of feedback because that's what we need to hear as the commission for the franchises, how the customers, how our constituents are being treated as part of that agreement. So we definitely appreciate you coming out and sharing this information with us, and we will absolutely follow up on it. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. We were told before the meeting that Comcast was not going to be here this evening, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we will not have a report from Comcast. From Verizon, you have a report this evening?
No, I haven't.
A specific report? No? Okay. All right, then we can move then into any commissioner comments that we may have.
None,
Okay?
not for me.
No. Okay. I would just bring forward that in our last meeting we discussed the wires, double poles, and that issue remains an issue in our community, and it has come up in both municipalities and outside. Of course, this commission works in the areas outside of municipalities which have their own agreements, but that just generally speaking, and I will just say just personally, now I've looked up more often, and they're everywhere, and so I'm not certain if it is, I don't know because I don't have that expertise to know if it's Verizon Fios wires or if it's Comcast wires, but we do have an issue. I mean, as far as just sort of around the county, these wires and poles. And what I would say is that former Commissioner Tarlow, who is now in the House of Delegates, he's taken this on, and I'm quite certain that the two franchises would much rather take care of this problem themselves than have him go to Annapolis and enact some legislation, which I know he's already thinking of and working on, and similar to what he worked on with the double pole legislation, which he's going to continue to push for. So I just think that, I hope that there can be a real concerted effort to try to clean up the wires and the poles that are all over our county. So I just hope that we will be able to do that, and that will be something that our franchisees will be able to do. So with that, that's all that I have, and I think that's all that we have for this evening. The next meeting of the Cable Commission will be on July the 22nd. I thank everyone for coming, and have a very nice night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.